this is David from Three Orcs. I'm not sure if anybody would be interested in this, and I'm not really able to share this information on the internet with other people. I can't send you any of my articles I wrote on World Anvil or any of the artwork I used for those articles because I don't have permission for them. So I just use it for my own private campaign with my own group so I can run my campaign with them and make it nice. So this is World Anvil, and I used the Anna Meyers map. Let's see what I can show you of the map here. It doesn't say her name anywhere here. I thought it did in the corner, but I guess not. But this is her map from a couple years ago. I know there's a new one out, but this is good enough for me. The problem with this map is it looks good from a distance, as you can see, but it doesn't scale very well, so you can't zoom in too far, then it gets blurry. And I had to create my own maps of the regional areas with more detail, which is, I could always share later. I can share my own stuff, it's just not other people's work. So if I scroll into Verbobonc, across the river is Raymond, and that's an article on its own. I just click on it and it'll launch the article with artwork and all the NPCs. And then of course this is Verbobonc, and that's a whole nother article with a big map. And next to it is Castle Greyfist is inside Verbobonc. I just put a icon here to show, as she did. She actually labeled it here on the map, so I did the same thing. These are just quick links to the articles. And then we got the river. I forgot what it's called. Can't remember, but I'll come to me. So up the river is Garagil. Oh, I created that one from scratch. I felt like see this road right here? I mean, in the medieval days, each village was around 8 to 12 miles apart. That's as far as a merchant can travel in a day. The merchant caravans generally don't want to camp out in the middle of nowhere, or bandits will get them in the middle of the night. So I put one here. It's a river town, and then of course there's Elglath, and then there's Ocam, fully keyed. Daymouth, fully keyed. There's a ferry here. So this is the Emerides Run. It's a river. That's a pirate river. They use that to navigate to get the Nulb, which is down here. I have all of, obviously, I get the free lands of divers and the gnarly forest fully keyed in too. Because, oops, sorry, I'm zooming in too much. The reason I create so much outside the campaign world is because players could be from there. And I like detail. So let's go back to the middle. So Verbobonc, if you travel south down from Verbobonc is the Knives Run, and parallel to that is the Merchant Road, and the first stop is in Etterbalk, and I believe it got its name from Edders in the area that was plugging the farmlands, fully keyed of course. Then you go south from there is Dusich Ford. Now on the map they said Dusich Ford is more west, but in all the modules I'm running and descriptions of adventures I have, I placed it more to the east because of those reasons. The modules aren't very clear, unlike where different things are. They contradict each other sometimes from the Living Greyhawk module series. So then south of there is Senegal Valley, and I created that map from scratch. I made that myself. I click on it and I'll show you. Works. There we go. It's a little slow. So I used public artwork sometimes to show kind of what the place looks like and give you an idea. I have links for everything, like the Baroness is right there, and it goes to her article. Sir Simon Linnaeus. More public artwork of what the valley looks like. And I have a map that I made too. It's in here. So I'll just back up. I don't want to go into that. But anyway, I created my own map. From Etterbalk, if you go, you got Mull to the west, and to the east you got Penwick. Now what's really strange is Penwick, there's contradictory information between the modules, and you don't really know where House Millennius is located at. But in the first module, they actually in the adventure they travel through his lands first to get to House Osbury lands, but it's really unclear, where you're going and how you're getting there, because you end up over here at the Sul Templar ruins in the Fens of Tor, but first you stop by House Osbury first, and I know they travel through Melinius' lands first, so I know Melinius' lands is around here somewhere, between Castle Greyfist and Penwick. At first I put the border there, and then south of Penwick was on the northern border of House Osbury lands, and then I started reading more of different modules explaining where everything was, and it just didn't make sense. And so I lowered the border to down here, and I put House Osbury in the middle here, because that's Emredy's Run that goes to Nolb. There's Nolb. There's a town there. I think I created that town from scratch. I did, because we needed a town out there in the fens before you got to the dungeon. So I created that from scratch. And I created another one from scratch up here to the north. So I put Griffin Manor here, and then I put House Osbury here, and part of House Osbury's lands is Senegal Valley. Doucet's Ford obviously is owned by a local lord in the family for years. I think I might have still had her part of his lands. Maybe he pays loyalty to her. I'm not sure. I forgot. I'll have to read the article again. Etterbock is in the lands over here to the west by a really horrible lady and her son that she's trying to marry off. That's a whole different thing. A lot of politics in this game. There's Enmity Meadows. So as you know, I published that song. It's on the internet. You can find it. The Battle of Enmity Meadows. And so I figured Osbury Manor, based on all the lore, was near there. And then, of course, you got these other dungeons I added. But so Nolb and the Temple of Elemental Evils over here, and then there's the Moat House, and there's Hamlet. Some of the dungeon icons aren't here because I don't have them enabled right now, the Dungeon Master versions. So some of these locations, like Feathergale and this one right here, this one, Scarlet Moon Hall, and not Kron. Oh, here it is. Sacred Stone Monastery. It's from the other module from the Temple of Elemental Evil. I combined the two because there's more than one outpost out there than just the Moat House. In fact, if you read the module, most Dungeon Masters don't read everything. But if you read it in the notes from Gary Gygax, he does state specifically that there's more outposts out there. And it's up to the DM to develop it and to flush out Nolb. And I did that too, to a great extent. And I used a lot of other Dungeon Masters versions of it that I found off the internet to flush it out. And there's a lot of maps too to use. So I didn't have to make my own map for Nolb. Nolb was really flushed out, ready to go. Pretty cool. I'm going to redesign the Temple of Elemental Evil too, because as you probably either know or heard or saw YouTube videos on the subject, how it has problems. And a lot of people over the years have fixed that, and I'm going to be using that information. I fully flushed out, Greenway Valley. I added some of these towns myself. I created them myself based on the families. There's the castle here, another castle. There's another fort. There's 4 mounted borderer forts in the area. I placed them. That was hard to do because the information wasn't all quite specific. And then Sheernob's down south of Hamlet. Then south of there, I added this inn because I figured at the crossroads there would be an inn, a way station, stables. And if you go into Gallows Quarter, I have another module for that place, another adventure. And then you end up in Ostwerk, which is on the border to the fairy kingdom of Selene to the south. So that's the border. And I put Devereux Manors there. And so that's where I placed one of the mounted borderer forts is there too. It's all keyed. I have a map and all that stuff. I added this town because of one of the adventurers. One of the adventurers that I'm using, says that this town's under attack by giants, so I had to add that. Then of course it keeps going and going forever and ever. Oakvein, and I have it keyed all the way out to the Wild Coast and Greyhawk. There's the fairy kingdom of Selene. So it's all pretty cool. Welkwood is there. I have This module keyed more than this, actually. I have a separate map for Fiorandi, another one for Luna, another one for Greyhawk, and they're all keyed as well. I know I spent too much time on this campaign. But I figured, you know, if anybody's going to be from there, they'll have the information. So anyway, the video is mostly, what I want to point out was the problems I had with House Millennius and House Osbury to the south. It was kind of confusing. I have a overlay to show the lands, but for some reason it's not working right now. World Anvil cracks down on the naming conventions of all the locations, and you can't have any symbols in the names or parentheses or things like that. And I actually left some of that stuff in the names, and I've been editing, going through all the names. I fixed Verbobonc. The city of Verbobonc is fixed. I fixed all those names, and they're all working correctly. But I still haven't gone through the lands yet to fix this map. So I just want to show you this. I have a lot more to show. I don't know how much I'm allowed to show without upsetting people, but I figured this is good for now. So if you have any comments, please list it below. You know, I'll answer any questions you might have. And if you want to see more, let me know. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.